We're gonna do a little show and tell today. This is my college degree. Wow, look at that. It says Bachelor's of Fine Arts in Digital Production. Isn't that cool? Isn't that pretty sweet? I've got a bachelor's degree. Probably one of my most frequently asked questions is how I got to be this. Why am I 32 years old and unemployed if I've got a bachelor's degree? Am I stupid for getting a bachelor's degree in art? Are all BFAs useless? Why did everybody get laid off? Is the 3D industry viable? Did 9/11 happen, or was that just clever VFX compositing? Should you be a 3D artist? Am I good at compositing? Am I responsible for 9/11? There are a lot of little events that transpired over the last couple of years that resulted in me being broke and living with my parents again.
A lot of us are living with our parents, trust me.
Some of them are definitely my fault. Some of them are due to pretty predatory practices in the industry at large, and some of them are just because the economy is really, really bad, and
Yep. The economy is bad. The people in the art world is all messed up and very, very, very annoying at times. They don't want to hire you based on your skills. They hire you because they like you. Man, oh man.
I just wanted to talk about that. A lot of you that watch my content are doing so because you've recently enrolled in a VFX production program yourself, or you're thinking about it, or perhaps you're in the same situation as me and you're trying to do an autopsy on what the hell happened here. It's hard to get the full truth out of people.
I'm just cruising by. I like listening to people talk about their life. And I'm also an artist, and I also am unemployed. But my reasoning is a lot more complicated than that.
Who participate in the industry, because a lot of them have some pretty bad Stockholm syndrome about it. Even I used to be pretty cagey about admitting how bad things really were. But just like Neo in the Matrix, I've been butt-chugging red pills for a while now, and I'm here to save you from yourself. I'm here to potentially save you from yourself and the lies that these people in the industry will tell you, so you can sacrifice all of your free time and your humanity for something that is no more cinematically complex than the B-movie. When I was a kid, I always really liked drawing. Unfortunately, I was also very, very stupid.
Me too.
Got mostly C's, D's, and F's throughout high school, and I don't even think I
Me too.
graduated with a 3.0. It was probably below that, I'd say. I always hated school. I hated anything that didn't have anything to do with art or band. I ended up getting
Yeah, that's me too.
into a state college. Not any of the cool ones. The ones that you go to when you're too stupid for the cool ones, or you just live close by and you don't want to have to deal with dorm life. I was hoping they would have 2D animation, and of course they did not. So I took something that was like
Wow, this is so me. They didn't have 2D at my school either. Man, oh man.
tangential to animation, but not really. It was kind of studying film and kind of wasting a lot of time at modern art museums, but, you know, it was the best I could get at the time. Going to a 4-year university is a stupid meme, by the way. Your first 2 years are going to be spent doing essentially another 2 years of high school where you have to take general ed only, and you're not going to be able to take anything that actually relates to the thing that you're studying. So you're better
She's right about that. This woman knows what she's talking about.
off going to a community college instead of wasting a bunch of money at a 4-year. Finally, my first 2 years were up and I got to take my first art class. I get to class for the first time and our art teacher is this very leathery man with a low-cut white blouse and a bad toupee who is handing out pieces of butcher paper and little gummy worms to everybody that walks into the door. This says,
"Okay, everybody, I'm going to dim the lights now, and we're gonna put the gummy worms into our mouths, and then we're all going to sketch how the gummy worms feel wriggling on our tongues."
I dropped out of college
Okay.
the next day. As a Chad Andrew Loomis enjoyer at the time, I could tell with 100% certainty that the longer I spent in that place, the more of my own time I was going to waste. The next 4 years were a blur. I don't know what the fuck I did. I think I got married. I think I was married for a little while. That's a story for
Marriage, congrats. Oh, you said a little while though. Oh, sad. Sad world, man.
another time. A very traumatizing story. I'm divorced now. If you feel like you're up your 20s, it's because you are, but so is everybody else, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. It's my sagely advice for you youngins out there. I applied to other schools that I thought might have had decent art programs, but I kept getting rejected because my GPA still wasn't good enough. Eventually, in late 2015, my dad comes up to me and says, "Hey, I found you an art school that doesn't care about that time you flunked geometry in high school, or that other time you flunked algebra too." And that's how I ended up at Gnomon. I'm still of the opinion that art school should generally be avoided in this economy, but let's say you must.
Yep. Don't do it. Don't go to art schools now, man. AI is taking over everything.
Absolutely go to an art school. Like, let's say your parents are just all over your dick about getting that degree, like that piece of shit I threw on the ground earlier in the video, and you really, really want to do 3D art, then just go to Gnomon. The cool thing about Gnomon is that every teacher there is an industry professional, and you can go there to make friends with these people. Why is that important? Because the entertainment industry is one that is built heavily on nepotism. Heavily. Like, do not underestimate that. I'm not saying...
Yes, it is. Sad, man. It's so sad.
Just go there and be a kiss ass or anything. That's really cringe, and people can always tell when you're doing that. I mean, go actually make friends with people. I met my best friend at Gnomon, and you're listening to his music right now, so you never know when people are just gonna come and clutch for you. I could go back in time though. Instead of taking the full program, I would just take individual courses, because the cost of any art school was kind of crazy. That, combined with living in Los Angeles, was not a great time for my parents' wallet. Also, depending on what you want to do in the industry, some of the classes there just aren't necessary. Like, I had to take 2 rigging classes. I don't remember anything about rigging. I hate rigging, and I've never had to use it a single time in production. Anytime I was asked to do anything...
Really? You don't rig in production? Then again, I haven't really been interested in 3D art, but looks like that's where everyone is going now. I mean, 2D seems to be dead, but I can't stop doing my 2D stuff.
Anything related to rigging, I just said, no, I'm not doing that shit, sorry. Cool industry tip: if you don't actually want to do something, all you have to do is be born a decently attractive girl, and then you probably don't have to do it. Other than Gnomon,
Hearing this from a female is so satisfying. Good on you.
I would just avoid going to art school entirely, because if you go anywhere else, you're probably going to end up with a degree in advanced McDonald studies.
もしもし、ドナルドです。
This mainly pertains to 3D though. If you're doing 2D, then I don't really know what the situation is as far as higher education goes. But, you know, 2D doesn't really rely heavily on different types of software the way that 3D does. So, you should just get YouTube videos for that. Like, I'm not I'm not a 2D illustrator professionally by any means, but I can draw and paint decently enough for the kind of stupid shit I like to post online just to amuse myself, and
Not bad.
I was able to do that by just training myself via YouTube tutorials. So you'd be surprised the kind of things that you can find online to bolster your education for free. After years of grinding, of blood, sweat, and tears, in that time a homeless man followed me home with his wiener out because I lived in Los Angeles, I finally got my degree. Up until that point, art school was the hardest I'd ever worked in my life, and it paid off. The stuff I could make was pretty damn cool, and I'd even won an award just for being a tryhard. I wasn't just the
Looks good, sis. Very good.
village dumbass that struggled with long division anymore. I could use Maya. I was a juggernaut at stuff that I actually enjoyed doing for the first time in my life. So you'd think it'd be smooth sailing from there. All I'd have to do is go apply to jobs and go to interviews in person and in close proximity to other people while shaking their hands and making physical contact in the same room, breathing the same air. My graduation ceremony was in December of 2019, and 2 months later, the entire world fell apart. And I was pretty worried. 2 weeks to stop the spread turned into 2 months, and I wasn't sure what to even do with myself. Suddenly, studios figured out that people were just as competent working from home as they were from an office, and everybody was getting these little coof bucks checks from the government, and people wanted to spend their coof bucks on movies and TV and video games because there was nothing else to do. And
Lucky you guys get to get money from the government like that. Here, they don't give a damn about you.
And just like that, jobs were everywhere, and then my introverted ass didn't have to spend any time in an office pretending like I didn't have weapons-grade Asperger's, and that was really fantastic for me. But that's also the reason why there aren't any jobs now, but we'll talk about that later. Fun fact, I've never worked in person in an office before, and I don't know if this had a negative or a positive impact on my career as a whole, but I just think that if I ever had to spend time working physically in the same geographic location as the people I would eventually end up meeting in the industry, I think I'd have assault charges on my record by now.
Yeah, hanging around people is tough, at least for me. I don't really like speaking much. I have to do it because this is YouTube and they want you to speak. But I'm drawing and speaking. So, yeah.
Doing art as a career for a corporation, for studios, for other people is just so soul-sucking. Trying to turn something that I loved into a commodity is probably the biggest mistake that I've ever made in my life. These studios know that you love what you do, that this is your dream job, and they'll take advantage of that because they know at the end of the day, you'd be doing this shit for free because you love it. Getting paid to do something you already like is a bonus, because you'd be doing this anyway. And oh, on top of that, what's this? You get the privilege of working on the IP that you like the most? Whoa! Now you're getting paid in bragging rights, isn't that cool? Now do 6 months of unpaid overtime or you're fired. And it's easy to replace you too, because there's thousands of other bright-eyed and bushy-tailed fanboys out there that would love to slave away for the big IP, for less money, and for longer. Dream jobs are a meme that corporations shill to keep you working a 9-to-5, for the most part. I think if I were a really famous and rich YouTuber and I could afford a plastic surgery to make my eyes less huge and creepy, that would be really cool.
Why make your eyes smaller? It makes you look animated, or maybe you don't like looking animated. Everyone has their thing.
And subscribe. I found out pretty quickly that doing art for a studio is just a glorified office job in which the paycheck you get is incongruent to the amount of work that you're actually doing. You know, this is
Good to know, sis. I didn't even get the opportunity to be in the art world. They just hated me, man.
just my opinion, of course. I have friends that still love this shit, but for me, I've never really had a pleasant experience in this field outside of making personal work just for me. I have some stories. I'm not going to tell you which studios these occurred at specifically for legal reasons. Some of these places can be unbelievably petty, and I'm not trying to deal with that shit. What I said earlier about 6 months of unpaid overtime, that wasn't an exaggeration. That was a real thing that happened to me. Within that 6 months, there was like a 2-month period where I didn't even have a weekend off, and I was just working 7 days a week just to keep up with this crazy delivery schedule that some psychopath pulled out of their ass. And I was making a lot of money, sure, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't even human anymore. I was just a workhorse. I was just a number on a spreadsheet. I didn't even have time to enjoy all the money I was making, and then eventually I would get laid off, and I'd have to get that money to last me for the next 2 years.
That's every job, sis. Like you said earlier, it's all just a 9 to 5, no matter what you're doing. Eventually it becomes boring and predictable and soul-sucking, especially if it's something you like doing.
While the layoffs were occurring and gigs were few and far between, and now it's all gone. I always thought when I got a 9 to 5 job, it would be great because I'd have just a bunch of free time in my after hours, but the after hours often never came, and when they did come, I was just too tired to really do much of anything except maybe watch TV. Just a reminder for this little overtime in particular, I was getting paid for my job, but I wasn't getting paid for the overtime. I was just expected to do it, or else I'd get canned. Certainly, I could have quit at any time, but I have this problem as an artist, and I think a lot of other artists have this problem too. I just don't like quitting. I don't like giving up, and we've all made the mistake of thinking, oh, wow.
Me too, sis. Me too. Sometimes you just gotta throw in the towel when it comes to corporate world, man. They don't give a damn about people. I like this video, but I'm gonna have to end it right here and watch it offline. Peace.